Hi Facebook. I just got to start by saying that I'm doing this video here, even though I'm going to download it, and the audience that I am speaking to is really YouTube, because that's what I'm doing this video for. It's another channel that I have on YouTube, and I can't go live on that channel. So since I can't go live on there, I am going to download this and put that over there. The name of that YouTube channel is called July, and it has very few followers, so you might not even be able to find it. Maybe I'll put a link to it in the description in case anybody's interested in seeing that channel. Hi everybody. So anyway, so I'm doing this video because I keep getting messages that I'm supposed to be telling my story on a regular basis, because there are so many people out there who are afraid and they don't know what steps to take, or they have questions about how they can receive guidance and what can they do when all they've known all their life was being told what to do. And they don't necessarily feel safe leaving an organized religion, whether it's Jehovah's Witnesses or not, just an organized religion, period. And so what I have to say about that, I feel like here, this is something that is just like coming out of nowhere, like inspired. So it's kind of like whether or not you decide to choose to be on I'm going to say like inside a really large crowd that is carrying out one particular purpose, or would you rather be doing it on your own alone? And the inspiration that I'm getting is spectating maybe at a sports event. So would you rather be there at the whole sports event? I'm sorry for the one who's who's putting the cry face, the tears. But don't be sad, because it's not a sad thing. Trust me, it's not a sad thing. And I hope that you're not sad for me, because I'm not sad. But sometimes it's nice to be together at a sports event, right? But also too, you can, instead of having to go with the crowd when it comes to just everything, the way you have to spectate there. You're under certain orders. You can't just do whatever you want to do. There are rules when you're inside of like a stadium or something. But when you're at home, you get to, everything is within your own comfort zone, and you get to make all your own choices, and you could say what you want to say and do what you want to do. I don't know if that's a good example, but that's the one that came to me because of the simple fact that I guess the post that I made earlier, and that was under inspiration too. I realized that I don't have to be told how to worship or be told whether or not God loves me. No one. I was like, wow, that's huge. And people need to know that. Not everybody knows that. And that is what you could put a crying face for, because that breaks my heart. It shatters my heart. That shatters my heart. Like, for someone to judge whether or not God accepts them based off of something that another person tells them, why can't you go within your heart? So that's what I'm here to talk about. And again, I'm downloading this video because it needs to go on my YouTube channel, the one that I made. I didn't make it for this, but I started using it for this. I have a YouTube channel called July. So this is for my YouTube viewers. There are so many people out there, when you put these kind of videos out, who are really, really, really looking for support or looking for comfort. Because I don't know if you guys truly know what it feels like to be shunned by your family. And when they are not allowed to speak to or interact with their families, sometimes it makes them like even suicidal because they don't feel like they have anybody else or no place to turn. It almost feels like death and like you're just invisible to all of them. So, and that's just for the people who, like I said, that's all they've ever known, you know. Inside of the religion that I was in, we didn't know anything outside of our religion. That should tell you a lot right there. I'm not going to say we didn't know. Well, there are a lot of people who may have grew up that way, who never may have done their own research. And then there were people who decided that that was what they wanted to do after living their lives. And then once they decided that that was what they wanted to do, sure enough, they definitely cut themselves off from other things. And it doesn't allow you to necessarily be open to anything outside of what they dictate. It does not allow you to be open to anything outside of what they dictate. And that's the sad part, because what you are not allowed to do is trust your own heart. And that's the part that hurts me so bad for these people. That's what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about how to relearn how to trust your heart, because I don't know if all religions teach it, but that religion for sure teaches you that you can't trust your heart and that the heart is treacherous, based on a Bible scripture or a few Bible scriptures, that the heart is treacherous. And to be quite honest, this is where all of my views have changed. I don't believe that the Bible was 100% put out in our interests. There are a lot of things that are useful in the Bible, but there are a lot of things that are there to keep us under a certain measure of control, no matter what religion you're a part of. Just humanity, mankind. That's my view. It's not, I'm not saying that that needs to be your view. But that's me, and I'm just helping people to understand my personal line of thinking. You don't have to agree with it. You may not even necessarily understand it, which is fine. I get that. But this is how, that's what explains how I'm able to move the way I'm moving and make the decisions that I'm making. I've learned from an early age that God speaks to you personally and internally. Everybody is born with this ability to listen to and hear God. You may not necessarily hear audio or audible things, but everybody can hear him when he's talking to you, him or her or it. I mean, because, spirits have no gender. But anyway, if you listen to what's built in your conscience, you know how they say, let your heart be your guide, or you get like a gut feeling, which is different from what comes from your heart. Because like I talk about, I'm so into like chakras and stuff now, and you have an energy center in your heart, but you also have an energy center in your gut. And you know the difference when you feel emotion coming from your heart or emotion coming from your gut, the gut feeling. That gut feeling is what you want to practice learning how to trust. Once you practice listening to that gut feeling and understanding the difference between, what's inspired and what's just, led by your own emotions, especially if it's something that you've had problems with continually over and over and over again throughout your life. It could just be that it's something that you are working on emotionally getting past. So, but that is my guide. I don't remember how I found, oh, I do remember. Okay, so I started listening to a lot of videos. Breathe. I started listening to a lot of videos from Oprah and Les Brown. And then eventually I started listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I binge watched a lot of YouTube videos because they were speaking about things that resonated within me, within my heart, with what was in my heart. So knowing that what they were saying, were things that were speaking to me with things that I already were able to relate to, that's what kept me on the edge of my seat and listening and receiving more and more guidance, and because of the things that I have been praying for. And you know exactly when you're praying for something and you receive, an answer or a blessing that's in harmony with that. So the information was very soothing for me. Dr. Wayne Dyer. A little bit he talked about, the laws of attraction, but he talked about a lot of different things. And I like how he was open to all different principles from various religions, without shutting anyone or anything out. And that was the other thing that kind of bothered me. That was the other thing that kind of bothered me. I don't want to say no names because I'm putting this on YouTube. That was the other thing that kind of bothered me, because I didn't like to shut people out for their beliefs, because I didn't feel like their beliefs were like made them wicked or evil or worthy of destruction, of eternal banishment from the earth. I didn't feel that people deserved that because of the simple fact that they didn't worship the way that I worshiped. So it always left me with an open mind. And I realized throughout my life, all the things that I've seen and done and all the people that I've met, you recognize when you meet people who are just like you. You recognize it. When you meet people who are just like you feel it in your soul, in your bones, in your heart, you feel it. And those people are the ones who are nearest and dear to me, and they weren't always Jehovah's Witnesses. So yeah, I grew up in the religion. I am fifth generation. Dear grandma, mama, then me. So Madira's mom, and then Madira, which is my great grandmother, and then my grandmother, and then my mom, and then me, fifth generation. And love my family, but it's taken so long to recognize that it's a form of control when they keep you from associating with your family. And we had a lot of that. In my family, we had a lot of problems with that. We had so many problems with that. And I remember my mom telling me when she said when she was growing up, she was torn, and she didn't like the fact that Her dad was Muslim, her mom was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and both religions kept them apart from each other and ripped the marriage apart and made it hard on the 9 kids. And she said that she promised herself that she would never be a part of either one of those religions because of how it separates families and tears them to pieces. And eventually she ended up, deciding that she actually did feel like Jehovah's Witnesses had the truth. And, that's what her and my dad both chose to do. And that's how they raised me and my 2 brothers. But, I do remember my mother being torn a lot when her family, she had family who may have been like disfellowshipped and she wasn't supposed to associate with them. That ripped them to pieces, you guys. That tore them apart. We are such a close family. And that tore her to pieces. So, and it's funny because I never, mothers know, man, they know. My mother used to always be afraid. She used to always say that she thought that I was going to leave the religion. She was afraid that I was going to, sometimes they call it falling out of the truth. She thought I was going to fall out of the truth. And I think she thought, my take was that I thought she was assuming that because of some of the treatment I received by some of those in authority, I think she thought that was going to make me feel as though I didn't want to submit to that anymore. It bothered me, but not enough to make me lay down and not get up. One monkey don't stop no show. I don't care about that. I don't fear men. I never have. I don't fear men. I fear God. So those men, I would give them a piece of my mind a lot. I love them. I respect them. But the ones who didn't have the right attitude, sorry, I do lose respect when it comes to that. I respect people who love God and who know how to be a Christian. When you know how to act Christ-like, you have my respect. But when you don't know how to get down like Christ, and if you think that you are supposed to have, a woman's respect when you act when you're not acting properly, then this is not the right, person that you want around you. Anyway, have to kind of tone that down. So anyway, my mother thought that was going to be a problem for me. But then that's what I thought she was thinking. Now that I recognize what is truly going on in my life and the things that I've been led to, I know that my mom has noticed a lot of things about me from my childhood on. And my mother even had my mother was she had strong, she had dreams that would later come true and, premonition, all that kind of stuff. And it scared the living daylights out of her because in the religion, they teach you that that's spiritistic, that is demonic, and God doesn't speak to us that way anymore. But how can you tell a person that God is not speaking to you in your heart, especially if you tell them that if they have faith in their prayers will be answered, and you have to speak to God and then listen for when he's speaking back, whether it's from, what they're telling you from the platform inside the, organization or through their publications. If you're going to teach a person to listen to God, you also need to teach them to learn to trust what's coming from inside, not if it only agrees or aligns with what you teach. See, that's where you lose me. I've never been that type of person. I'm not that kind of person. Even when it comes to people, like, I don't let people dictate who I can and can't be friends with. If I have a friend who feels like, you can't be friends with them because I'm not friends with them, then guess what? I love you, but, I'm not going to go for that. I'm not going to allow somebody to tell me what I can and can't do. I've always been that way. So getting back to the whole, guidance, I've learned so much from the people that I've listened to. After listening to a lot of Dr. Wayne Dyer, I started listening to a lot of Dr. David Hawkins, and I truly love his books. The first one that I fell in love with was called Letting Go. It has a longer name, but the beginning is Letting Go, and he teaches how you have to just kind of let go of things without stressing over them. And once you learn how to let go of them, this is how you end up really allowing, God in your life to the fullest extent. But the longer you try to hold on to things by justifying why you should hold on to them, the more you allow your ego to take over, because you're trying to prove to yourself, let alone other people, why you have an excuse to not let go of something. So I was like, yeah, this is right up my alley. Resonates with the way I've been living my life. The other thing was he talked about a book called A Course in Miracles. So I read that. I got one off of Amazon that has like all 3 volumes in one hardcover book, which is the textbook, the teacher's manual, and then the student workbook. So I got all 3 all in one. I love that book, A Course in Miracles. It is my new Bible. It helped me rewire some of the areas where I feel my brain needed washing clean and clear of. So Dr. David R. Hawkins, he talks a lot about the kinesiology techniques that people use to determine if something is true or false. So after watching a lot of his videos and watching him and his wife do like muscle testing and all that kind of stuff, I started to really, pretty much all my entire life, because I was raised in an organized religion, we always had to, determine if something was a good decision or a bad decision, a right choice or a bad choice. So you kind of get used to that, and you start learning how to trust your gut feeling, and based off of the things that you were trained to understand and to believe. There are a lot of good Bible principles, but there are a lot of things in there that don't sit well with my gut. So, some people are they need things done exactly or directly in order for them to feel that, they need some kind of authority. They feel that they need some kind of authority. Then you have other people who are comfortable with being their own authority. So when you're comfortable with being your own authority, you start to trust that God is leading you. And it comes from a lifetime. It don't even have to be a whole lifetime, but it comes from practicing allowing God to guide you once you ask for help and assistance with specific things. So after you do that so many times, you get used to it. And then you start to be able to trust your gut. That's why they say what they say, trust your gut. And oddly enough, you guys, me being able to piece all of these things together and figure out that, this is why I am no longer comfortable being told how to live my life or how to worship God, the thing that I was able to relate to the most, or the thing that I resonated with the most, is very ironic. I would have never in 1,000 years thought, because of the way I was taught and because of what the Bible teaches, I would have never in a million years thought that I would have started getting into energy work at all. But that's where I am. And so, but it is just, everything parallels. Everything is completely in harmony with each other. And you start to recognize that all of us, we're all one and the same, despite personality traits and things that we may have done in our cultures, or, like generational things that have happened. Despite any and all of that, ultimately, all of us are humans with a head and 10 fingers and 10 toes and red blood. So, and I realized, because I've been into math and science, like I've had like this insatiable desire to delve into how all of that just is a part of my everyday, especially once I started getting off into helping people with herbalism. So seeing how matter is energy and everything is energy, everything is matter, and all matter has energy, that's when I started to recognize, with the whole math and science thing, that we're all the same. We're all the same. In the organized religion I was in, they teach that we're all a part of one body. But I really don't think that most people inside that religion recognize how spot on that really is. However, it's not just the body within that organization. It is the entire universe. There is no separation. There is no separation. Like water, we can't be separated. There's nothing you can do about it. There is absolutely nothing you can do about it. You are affected by everybody else's energy. And it seeps over into your space, into your energetic space. I don't care who they are. Unless you don't look at them, you don't listen to them, you don't smell, touch, none of those, right? That's what we think. But we have more senses than just the 5 senses. We have way more senses than that. And that's what made me recognize that that's what's going on with the Bible. The Bible was tainted. All Bibles, any Bible, the Bible was tainted to control mankind. It was definitely written in a way to dumb down everybody's understanding of your internal senses that exceed your 5 senses. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, because those are the things that we all go by unwittingly in life. We go by those senses, and we even, talk about it. Oh, go with your first mind. What did your first mind tell you? That kind of stuff. Or what is this gut feeling you're having? Or you'll hear people say, oh, my ears are ringing, I've even heard people say, yeah, I must have been, you guys must have been talking about me because my ears were ringing. So like little things like that, like all that stuff I've learned through the principles of science and even math and quantum physics, that stuff is real. It's actually real. And I've learned to tune more into it. And people who are empaths, they feel all of this. They feel it, but they don't know it. They just know that they're overly sensitive to other people's energy. That's the only thing they recognize. So, man, like it gets pretty interesting, because how can you support yourself in life if you are always drained because someone else has drained your energy, and you're an empath and you don't know it, and then next thing you know, you're receiving Xanax from your doctor, you're receiving prescriptions for stuff like that, or you've been told that you have a mental disorder because you can't seem to hold it together because someone else ran off with your energy, and they continue to do it on a daily basis. And you don't know how to protect your energy, and you don't know how to rebuild yourself on an energetic level. And then they want to teach you that, oh, it's just physical. We just need to make sure you're healthy, that you're a physical specimen. It's more than that. It's deeper than that. As a matter of fact, when you clear your energy and clean your energy, it helps you to be more healthy physically, your physical body. So, but for me, it's all about guidance and training your brain and your mind and your gut feelings, training all of that to know and understand that God is leading you internally, and trusting someone else outside of that is going to put you at a severe disadvantage, because even though we're all the same, everybody has distinct and unique personalities and things that make them who they are. The same way we all have different fingerprints. So what makes another person function is not going to necessarily be what helps you to function at full capacity. So everybody comes with their own instruction manual. We all come with our own internal instruction manual, like a car, an owner's manual. And that is within your heart and mind. And you can actually connect to get the answers. You can connect to see what's in that manual when you just allow yourself to have some quiet time and pray or meditate. But you have to allow your body to just kind of like settle down, relax, and just kind of start to connect. You know, people who are so used to prayer, those are the ones that I've been drawn to over my lifetime. It's hard for me to connect with people who don't pray on a regular basis. We all put out a certain frequency, and our frequencies are different when we have the kind of frequency that's constantly connected to God, because we talk to Him a lot. So people who don't necessarily know how to connect with God, it makes it more difficult for them to have the type of frequency that they need in order to use their instruction manual that they've been given. The owner's manual, the manufacturer's manual. When you can't connect to that, it's like not having one in your brand new car. And then when something happens on the little computer interface or whatever, you're like, oh, I don't know what this means. How do I, what am I supposed to do with this car? So it's the same thing with us. But you got to learn how to read it. That is what I call my quote unquote new religion. Learning how to read my instructions. My instructions are not the same for everybody. Everybody has different instructions because everybody has a different model. You all are different models. So we're all placed here on earth for a purpose. Each and every last one of us. We all have a purpose. Your purpose and your instruction manual does not cater to the next person's. So, gotta learn how to read that manual. I guess I will try to talk more on that another time because this video is long. I can't see the time, but I know it's getting long. But I hope this helps. I hope people know that there is life outside of organized religion, and you don't have to feel hopeless or like you're going to be condemned to hell if you decide that that's not what you want to do with your life. And here's the other thing. Should you decide that that's not what you want to do with your life, it's because you're being called to your purpose. That right there is something internally speaking to you. If you don't feel right sitting up inside of four walls, worshiping, and submitting to a religion, if you don't feel, if something doesn't feel right, it's because you're being called to your purpose. So keep that in mind. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.